Suspected imbalance in criticism. Okay, let me repeat that. The suspected imbalance in criticism. A few weeks ago, I saw a comment somewhere and it was, whatever, some sock account, some random account, but they put a comment on another content creator's page on one of their, posts from their community section. And I know this was a black woman, okay, who put the comment. And she basically stated that, this mulatto Vanguard guy, he only has smoke for his black side. He doesn't criticize his white side. So that's a comment that I saw a few weeks ago. But you know what? It's reoccurring. That type of comment is reoccurring. I've seen that comment in other places, in other platforms, whether it's Facebook or TikTok, Twitter, whatever, Instagram. This is basically a strategy, a tactic, a shaming tactic, right? Or a gaslighting tactic that people in the community make towards those who are embracing their mulatto-ness or biraciality and trying to establish parameters or personal sovereignty and autonomy. What people criticize me is my delivery, right? Because I'm pretty brash and assertive, right? So, yeah, for sure, that's definitely something over time as I become more astute to this, that there's going to be more of a professional delivery with my message and how I conduct myself on the interwebs, I guess you can say. Going back to the comment, the lady says that I only got smoke for one side versus the other. It's like, well, I have smoke for everybody, but who's criticizing me the most? Who has the most backlash and the most, you know, uh, yeah, basically criticism for me on this path that I'm in right now, what I'm doing, talking to you guys here. Going to talk about Obama in a little bit, but talking about this right now, who is it? I mean, out of all the comments that I see, the gaslighting, the shaming, and all this other stuff, pointing the finger, it's overwhelmingly one side versus the other is what I'm analyzing with all the comments. Even today, I had to block somebody on Instagram, because the person just started out. And again, it was a black woman, so I'm not surprised, and of course she has uh present biracial children, is what she said after I responded to her. But of course, they're afraid, they're intimidated by people like me who want to let these individuals know that they have another option out here, because your monoracial parents, they're not going to be able to relate to you in the manner is that they don't have the same experiences that a lot of us who are mulatto embrace our kind of biraciality or dual heritage. We're embracing ourselves. We're not falling in line with the kind of binary nature that's established here. So a lot of the parents you see, black mom, white dad, whatever, they're not really going to be able to direct their child in a manner to where they can fully be themselves fully. A lot of times they kind of push or move over more towards sort of the black side, right? So that's the issue this lady had with me. She saw me, she's like, "Oh, you're establishing social media, branding yourself as this kind of mulatto, think tank per se." And so of course, yeah, they have an issue with that. They have an issue with you identifying yourself as a mulatto. And overwhelmingly, there's one side that has an issue with that. And that's what I'm getting at here. So I talked about this suspected imbalance in criticism that a lot of my detractors say that with me. You only got smoke. They call it smoke, right? For one side. Well, there's only really one side who's pushing back really um that much that I've seen on the interwebs, like I said, reiterating for the past what year and a half almost that I've been up here blabbing my mouth, right? Sharing my perspective with the public, letting them know, like say, you have a third option, you have another option. Okay. So gonna get into that as well. Like I said, it's a common gaslighting tactic. There's other people they call it the blackistan gaslighting tactic. That kind of sounds funny. I like that. So I'm going to roll with that one, right? A common blackistan gaslighting tactic, right? You have no smoke for your white side, right? But I'm going to debunk the theory right now because most of the detractors, as I already stated, are particularly from one specific side who wants to keep you underneath them. Okay. And I'm going to reference a couple comments based off of that. So I want to address this comment real quick. Saw this, it caught my eye. And this is a black person, putting this comment here. Okay. Monoracial, but they call themselves light skin. And we have to be careful because, like I said, with this channel, with me, my social media, you're not going to see me use the term MLS. You hear that term MLS, a little funny internet term they've made up a couple years ago. They're trying to throw it around basically to kind of hook you back in to serve as a mule, essentially, right? Because MLS is doesn't mean anything. I already talked about this. I made a video about it a year ago, right? Mixed light skin, basically saying black adjacent. So keep your black ass in place. Stay over here with us. Deal with us, instead of going somewhere else and building something, right? So this comment right here, it says, black people, especially dark-skinned black people, are the most racist group in the United States and abroad. And I say this as a light-skinned black woman, right? So this is somebody who put this comment that I saw, and they're basically stating that black people, especially dark-skinned black people, are the most racist group in the United States and abroad. She put parentheses abroad. I don't know about that. She says here in the United States, black people are the most racist. I don't know if I agree with that. I would say no, they're not, but they are some of the most racist. And she says are the most instead of some of the most. You got to kind of group them because in my opinion, I don't think they are the most, but their racism doesn't get checked and doesn't get challenged. And I think we saw a recent post from just pearly things, right? I should probably talk about that post she made, which of course is going to be skewed based off her audience, just pearly things. Talking about how blacks are the most racist. They get away with racism where other groups are kind of held more accountable. If you have some fucking color in your skin, you know the sun hits you, you're tan, you're brown, these people get away with racism, okay? And where I come from, look, the Mexican people, Chicanos specifically, they get away with racism just like these blacks get away with racism, just like a lot of these East Indians, Hindu people, okay? They got color in their skin, they're people of color, right? These people, get a lot of them get away with racism. A lot of people are not going to like me saying that, but it's a fact because they get to play this victim kind of privilege status, people of color status, but also they can have their side deals and kind of wink, wink and nod, nod, right? Rubbing elbows with certain people to manipulate. I've been seeing this strategy for years. What I'm saying is, in short terms, reading this comment, this is a light skinned black woman, she says right here. But they get away, especially with us, because we're stuck in their group. A lot of us, those of you who choose to be, and then you whine and cry about treatment, but you live around these people, you work with them. I don't. So I'm up here talking my shit. I don't give a fuck. I don't have to deal with you people. If you're not paying me, you're not dancing, singing songs for me, I don't deal with you. Okay. But for these people who are, I mean, have fun. Says this as a light skinned black woman. Okay. I've been treated as if I'm not black enough because of my racial ambiguity. Interesting. That's where that whole MLS term comes in, right? You're a light-skinned black woman, but you have racial ambiguity. Ambiguity. So people, it's open to interpretation, right? And I have seen a lot more racism against mixed race and light-skinned people from black people than any other group. So, but they include it. That's why I pointed out at first MLS, right? They use that acronym, mixed light skin. They're including us in the same group. Like, I'm not light skin. I'm only light skin around you blacks. Okay. Every other group, I fit in with the Hispanics or Latinos because I look like a lot of the Puerto Ricans or Brazilians, right? So I'm not light skin in that group. you know, I'm not light skin with Asian people, Han, Chinese, etc., or Filipino. I'm not light skin with them. You're only light skin around one specific group, right? Light skinned black woman who says black people are the most racist. Like I put the word some of the most. They're within a group because they scheme and plot, right? And they have a lot of them have a hive mindset. Even to their own demise, they will work with other groups just in spite of you, right? They're envious or jealous of you. They will work with their opposition. Like I said, I'm not saying all, but this is a trend that I've seen that we're now, in fact, calling out, especially guys like me. Trust me, like I said, I ruffle a lot of feathers because I call this shit out, right? We're kind of not supposed to. We're supposed to accept the position. And what do they tell you? Another kind of blackistan gaslighting tactic. Well, the whites don't like you. The whites won't accept you. They'll just look at you as a person of color. Don't you hear these blacks tell you that? The whites, they just look at you as a person of color. Well, I mean, we have person of color. I'm not fucking black though. I mean, you know. And I already pointed out several examples where it's like most of my students, okay, are white men, particularly. And I look at my sister. Most of her students in her trade profession are white women. So we look at this and we're like, the information, the gaslighting tactics, they don't hold a lot of weight. The community is not holding a lot of weight out here today, is what I'm saying. That's why you see this emergence of biracials, mulattoes who are clapping back and enjoying themselves in the process. Let me get into this comment here. Let me read it for you guys, right? This is Mulatto Diaries, Biracial Tiffany says, when discussing being mixed, I have never had a white person tell me, quote, there is no such thing as biracial. You are self-hating. Everyone is mixed. Get over it, unquote. Right. That's one of their main tactics to kind of pull you back in to serve their ass. They're going to tell you, well, we're all mixed. We got a little, everyone's mixed, MLS, they're light skinned, so they're still mixed. And even though they kiss black ass, I just want to bring you biracials back in here to be on their side, to kiss black ass and just stay in our group. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically their whole strategy when they use these innocuous terms like MLS and golden and all this other stupid foolish shit like mixed and all this stuff doesn't mean anything. Okay, they use that to basically detach you from the history, the fact that mulatto was an independent, self-sustaining category, right? They got to keep you back in. So that's where they go with this whole everyone is mixed. I love it. I love it because they use that. It's like on the flip side, they use that, right? Everyone's mixed, but then when you have an argument with them, they're going to be the first one to tell you, oh, well, shit, it's because you got a white mom. It's because you're mixed. You don't understand, right? A lot of you guys play with that. You guys entertain that, right? That's why I laugh here. Like I don't play that game with these people. I don't entertain that stuff. And I'm seeing a lot of people still playing this game with them. It's like you got to develop your own shit. Okay. And you're at a time where it's easier than ever. Let me continue on. It says, I'm not interested in discussing what whites or blacks did way, way, way back in the day. It's a present reality that we must deal with. And the present reality is that when biracial people start speaking our truths honestly, it is usually black people that give us a hard time. And this, right, it's profound, this statement from Mulatto Diaries, biracial Tiffany, because this was 14 years ago and I'm sitting here today. I'm like, this is the same shit I'm dealing with. So, like, I started the stream off, guys, talking about the suspected imbalance in criticism, quote unquote. You only got smoke for one side. You're white identified. You only want to criticize. And I'm looking at this comment from 14 years ago, and I'm looking at everything now, my comment section on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, especially TikTok, right? Overwhelmingly it's one group that has an issue, and I'm not even like trying to talk bad about this group or that group. I'm just explaining things of how I see things, and you know uh depending on whatever the topic or comment I'm observing is, it's always one specific group, like 99% of the time, that has an issue with it. So this is exactly why you're going to see this quote imbalance. It's not, there's no, it's nothing on my part. I'm just responding to what I see. You don't like it? Tough, 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 tough. So yeah, I want to get into that. And like I said, asserting yourself as biracial and being proud, like your heritage, being European African, just that alone, that assertion, right? You're gonna ruffle feathers just by, and I've seen that with other content creators and other people, social media, whatever, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, just asserting yourself as being mulatto or biracial, you're gonna ruffle feathers, right? That's just the name of the game. But overwhelmingly, like I said, one side does it way more than the other side. We're talking 99%, which is crazy. And so it is what it is. I'm not going anywhere. But exactly. And what my job is to inspire and encourage people to do the same, in a sense where you might not, like I said, you'll have a more polished delivery than me, because I can definitely good at kind of ruffling feathers, but to assert yourself out here, and to be truthful about what your intentions are, to get out of the shadows of hiding, and to proclaim your sovereignty and humanity in this world, that you belong, this position of belonging. And that's another gaslighting tactic that a lot of your detractors will use to keep you under their influence. They'll say, well, you don't belong to any group, you have nowhere to go, right? And because they want you to stay in their crab bucket, aka quote unquote the communita. It's a crab bucket. And they want you to stay with them in the crab bucket, right? They'll tell you, you ain't got no place to go, right? It's going to be a lot of work developing that place. I'm doing what I'm doing here, and I like it. I see the comments that I get, the engagement, the people. I mean, I do a pretty good job, I feel like. If I see some weird, stupid shit, I mean, I just block people. I love the block button. A lot of them give us kind of a hard time when we assert ourselves and push back, right? And they push back mainly for the language and identity component, because they can kind of control your actions in a sense, or they can kind of persuade how you move. That's why the language component's very important. Whether you can't say this word, don't call yourself that, or say this instead, right? Yeah, they need us more than we need them. And they hate the fact that they need us. They resent us because they need us more than we need them. And that's a reality. I feel like a lot of biracial people, a lot of mulattoes, right? They don't kind of accept or embrace that kind of harsh reality. That when we analyze the situation, we're looking at it like, well, yeah, we do you more of a service than you do us. I'm doing you a favor. And I realized that in my 20s, I'm my early 30s now, I'm millennial, but I'm thinking about it, looking back in my quote unquote pro black phase. I was like, I did so much more, way more for you than you've ever done for me. The only thing you've basically done for me was a fake acceptance, a temporary kind of crusty barbecue stained black card, right? You're invited to the cookout temporarily, but if you vote Republican or you disagree with me on anything, then I'm going to revoke that black card, right? I'm going to invite all the white people and Asian people and, and everyone else, because I want to get closer to them. But you're not serving me to help, bridge that gap, to white acceptance. Um, so I'm going to outgroup you. Something I figured out, and it's definitely liberating when you realize the situation that you are in. Oftentimes, we find ourselves placed in that subordinate position. And what do we ask? We ask, like I said, for the kind of quote unquote fake acceptance, this idea of belonging to a group, belonging to a tribe. That is our main predicament that we find ourselves in, right? A lot of people aren't honest and truthful about that, but that's the reality of the situation. And of course, we have solutions now. We've established these solutions, and it's up to you if you want to accept that or not. But going back to John the Mulatto, they need us more than we need them. Point blank, period.